Hi, everybody. Welcome to another CareerFoundry live event. I'm William, Events and Communications Lead here at CareerFoundry. Welcome to this live event this evening with Dr. Humera, who is a Director of Engineering, but also a mentor here at CareerFoundry. And we're going to be talking all about data analytics. So, welcome everybody. For those of joining on Big Marker, please just drop your name in the chat on the right-hand side, name, where you're joining from. We love to see that. And also maybe why you're interested in learning data analytics. We usually get a super international crowd, so it'd be great to see everyone. And we want this to be as interactive as possible. Whilst people are joining, though, let me just briefly introduce CareerFoundry before we kick off. So CareerFoundry is the online school for your career change into tech, and we provide personalized programs in data analytics, digital marketing, product management, which is a new one, UX design, UI design, and full stack web development. The CareerFoundry career change programs take you all the way from complete beginner to job-ready tech professional, with one-to-one access to both a mentor, such as Dr. Humera, and a tutor who are both experts working in their respective fields. That's not all. CareerFoundry programs are 100% online and flexible, which means you don't even need to quit your job to do one of them, and they're backed up by the CareerFoundry job guarantee. So if you don't land a job within your field, within 6 months of completing the program, you will get your tuition refunded. I think that's enough plug for CareerFoundry. For those joining on Big Marker, this webinar has some handouts, and you can find those in the handouts tab. And we'll be sharing some links as we go along too. If you've got any questions while the webinar is going through, just drop them in the chat, and we'll be doing a live Q&A at the end. And I think that's everything, Humera. I think I'll pass over the floor and I'll disappear into the background. And welcome everybody, and enjoy tonight's webinar.
Thank you very much, William, and see you in maybe 50 minutes from now. And hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. And I'm super excited to take you through this first step into a data analytics journey. I myself am a data analyst. I started my career almost 2 decades ago as a computer engineer and did my machine learning PhD. That is where I'm coming from. And after doing my machine learning doctorate, I went into the field of data analysis, and I realized that actually data is the foundation on which everything else like machine learning is built on. And it's so powerful that you will just realize that it forms the foundation of everything that we do. And you might be wondering, what is data analytics? Why data analytics? Does it have a future or not? And so let's just get these questions out of the way and take a step back and think about if you as a person uh, work with data. And tell me, do you use the internet? Do you use Google? Do you search for things on the internet? Do you check your the weather on your phone app? Do you ever use a navigation to go from one place to another? Do you have a TV? Do you use a television? Do you uh, go to the supermarket? Do you do shopping? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you basically are using generating data and consuming data. Because whenever we search for something online, all the clicks that we are generating, this is actually data that we are generating. Whenever we are looking for the weather and we are trying to see what weather is it out there, we are actually consuming data. So in some form or the other, we are either generating or consuming data. And there, when we are consuming data, then somebody else is generating it, somebody else is managing it, and it means somebody else is analyzing it. And that's where data analysts come in. It's not something which is only related to IT or really related to the online world. It has a huge amount of applications in other fields as well, like healthcare. Whenever we go and we interact with our medical practitioner, they have our history, the way they note it down. Or, in other words, the statistics, how many people have had influenza this season, how many people, how many customers do I have in a particular geographical location, what is my revenue. So it doesn't have to be the field of IT where we need data and we need to do data analysis. Rather, you name the field, we have data and we need to do the analysis there. So if you ask me about, is this a field that is going to stay? Definitely yes, because as just said, we are producing data all the time, we are consuming it, and we need to analyze it. So what how do we get into this? How does this data analysis pipeline look like? And if I want to be a data analyst, what do I need to know? So let's get into that one. On this slide, basically what you see is a very raw form of data analysis pipeline. And what you see here is it's a five-step process. So it starts with data collection, then you need to do some cleanup, then some descriptive analysis, exploratory analysis, and then visualization and storytelling. Now, what does this all mean? Let's say you decide that you need some data, so you need to first collect some data. And collection of data could be an automated process, or you might be sending out surveys, you might be putting out sensors and actually collecting data. But then real world data is not very clean. You might have some missing values, you might have some duplicates, you might have a difference in format. So uh, for example, we know that not the whole world uses and writes dates in the same form. Some countries have the months first and the day afterwards. In some other countries it's the opposite. Some countries measure using centimeters, meters, kilometers. Others measure using feet and inches, and so on and so forth. So there could be a difference in format, there could be a difference in units, and we need to clean up the data so that we can make sure that whatever we are doing is the data is clean and data is good. Because you may have heard about this term, and you will hear this very often, that garbage in, garbage out. So if your data is not clean, then the analysis that you'll do will also not be very good. And then comes some descriptive analysis. So you have the data and you now want to get a feeling of how this data is about. I can give you an example. In my company, we are using ad filtering. We are doing ad filtering. We need to know uh, when a user visits a page, he or she can see some advertisements on the page and the content, and we want to use machine learning to detect the ads so that we can, if needed, block them, and if needed, not block them. So when we started working on this data set and we collected the information, we realized that on the page, 5% of the page is filled with ads, and 95% of the page is not filled with ads. Now, if you notice, 5% might seem very little when it comes to data analysis. So, for any other machine learning model to be trained, there is a huge disbalance, 5% versus 95%. When you want to do some automated analysis, you would like to have a balanced data like 50-50 or 40-60. So, knowing this information, that how does the data look like, to get this feeling of the data, we need to do some preliminary analysis. And there are certain things like minimum, maximum, average, median, central, covariance, standard deviation, etc. Let me give you another example. Let's say you are collecting heights of people, and you do some, how much is the minimum height or maximum height that you have for the sample set that you have collected, and you find out that there is a 40-meter height entered in the data set. You'll instantly know that this 40 cannot be a right height for a human being, because there has to be some kind of typo. Maybe somebody wanted to type in zero 0.4, but they typed in 4.0. And so knowing all this kind of things will help us in further cleaning up our data and know about our data better. Then we move on to the exploratory analysis, where we actually talk to the business and ask the questions that need to be answered. and then we try to find those answers. And last but not least comes visualization and storytelling, which means that you have done the analysis, you know your data inside out, and now you want to tell a story to your audience so that you can convince them to take certain actions, and you can actually make an impact. Because if you'll just show all the raw data to your audience, they might not understand what this data is telling us. And also, if you do not tell them the story in the right form, they might not buy it, and they may say, ah, yeah, I know this for a fact, but what do I do with this? So you need to be convincing, and you need to produce visualizations and tell a story around your data. So this is roughly how the pipeline looks like. And now let's go deeper into each one of these points and see basically how on a technical level we can do that. And I'll start with data collection. So you need to get the data. If you are new to data analysis and you are not collecting the data by putting your own sensors out there, or you are not creating methods to actively collect the data from the people or from the resources yourself, you can actually uh, download this data from online resources as well. And there are a lot of data sets available which make lives of data analysts very easy. And I can recommend this awesome blog from CareerFoundry, where they have actually shared how or where you can find these data sets online. Maybe William, you or somebody, if you can just share this link of this blog, or for the rest, it's right in front of you on the screen. So you can just search for Career Foundry blog, where to find free data sets, and you can see that there are a lot of them available. For the purpose of this exercise, we have already downloaded a data set from Kaggle, as you can see here right now, kaggle.com. And this data set is uploaded in the is available with you already in the portal. So you can just start working on it right now. But if you go to kaggle.com as well and you search for data sets, you can find a lot of them. And all you have to do is to go there and search for, I want data sets on environmental information, like climate data. I want to get information or data sets on healthcare, or some, as we will see, food delivery statistics, or you name it. So there are different data sets available in different categories, and you can just explore them, download them, and start working. So let's now get our hands dirty. We have our data set somewhere. Let's download this. And to work on it, we need to import the data in a spreadsheet. The tools that we are going to use are totally we are tool agnostic. So I don't care which tool you or anyone else uses. Right now for this webinar, we are using Google Slides, because you can just create a free account if you don't have it, and you can work on that. If you want to buy any sophisticated tool, you can do that. Microsoft Excel is an awesome alternative to Google Slides, and you can use that if you have it. So as I said, the tool doesn't matter. They are more or less the same, and for our purposes, they offer all the data analysis features. So let me start sharing my screen, and I'll show you how we download this data and import it for the next step. So I am sharing my screen now, and you should be able to see my blank Google screen. Yes. Um, if you do not have a Google account, you can just create one. If you have one, then you will actually see on the top right that you have, it's your account information. Uh, on the second button from the right, you can see all Google apps, and here you can go and click on Sheets, because we need Sheets, spreadsheets, so you can just start working on them. You can create a new blank spreadsheet, and we start working on this one. As I just said, you already have this data set with you, But just in case you do not have it, you can download it from kaggle.com/datasets/datasets 1001 slash food dash delivery dash system. And here on the right, you have this download button. Just click on it and it will start downloading. Sorry, it will not start downloading right away. You need to sign in with your account, but then it will start downloading when you are logged in. So I have this on my machine right now. You have it as well. So I come to my sheet and I import it. So I go to file and I import, and here I can upload my file. So it's the food delivery.xls, and I drag and drop it here. And it asks me, do I want to import it in the current sheet, or do I want to create a new sheet, a new tab, whatever. I'll just replace the current sheet because I just opened it, and you import the data. So what we see here is a data set with a few columns, A to H, which is 5, 6, 7, 8 columns. So there are 8 parameters, which are the name of the person, age of the person, and number of orders that they made in a month, effect of COVID-19 on food ordering habits, the average order value, average preference for online payment methods, average delivery time, and average delivery fee charged. And if we note, these parameters are quite self-explanatory. So we have the name of the person, their age. So the people who are ordering are, they can be below 18, 18 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, and 50 onwards. And then the number of orders in a month. So some people place 3 or 4 or 2 orders, some place 10 orders, 8 or 7 orders. Then effect of COVID-19 on food ordering habits. Apparently, one is not much effect on their food ordering habits, and for some it was a huge effect, and so on and so forth. And then there are some average order value and delivery time, etc. So we have 8 parameters. And if we go to the bottom, then we will see that how many data points do we have. Every row is one data point, and there are 446 rows. The first row is actually the name, so it's 445 data points that we have. It's still called as untitled spreadsheet. I'll click here and I'll change it to food delivery, and we have imported our file. It looks good, and now we are ready to move to the next phase. So we have imported this, and now we move to the next one. I hope it was easy for you all to import the file. If you are stuck somewhere, please let me know, and we will try to fix that. But it should go very straightforward. You have the data on your file, on your computer. You go open the sheet, import the data, and you can just get the file. Now comes the step number 2, which is cleaning the data. And cleaning the data could mean you find and replace the duplicates if there are any missing values. If we just spoke about it, if there is a problem in the data format, just fix that. And um, let's do this now. So I'll go back to my sheet, and I'll start looking at the data. These sheets, these tools actually provide some features that makes your life very easy to do these basic data analysis operations. So for example, if we want to identify if our data has some duplicate or not, we can do by clicking by in a few clicks. So for example, first of all, just select the whole data so that the tool knows that we are talking about the whole data. And how do we select the whole data? So on the you have these column names and on the top. So if I want to select any cell, I just click on that cell and I have selected that cell. If I want to select any column, then I can click on the column name like A, B, or C, or D, whatever. And if I want to select any row, then I can just click on the row number on the left hand side and it will just highlight that. And if I want to select the whole data set, then on the top left, this blank box, which is the junction of row names and column names, you click here and then it will select the whole data set. So now you have clicked on it and you have selected everything. You can go to data, the menu on the top, data, and here under data, you have data cleanup. So you can just, there are some cleanup suggestions as well, but what we want to do is to remove duplicates. Why removing duplicates is important? It's important because duplicates are actually spoiling the statistics of our data points. So right now we think that we have 445 data points, but if we are just repeating the same value, then it's not adding any information. It's just adding more data points without adding any useful information. So we need to remove those. So we simply click on remove duplicates and tell that which rows to consider. We need to consider all the rows, and this data has a header row. So as soon as we click on the data has header row, it gives all the names, and then we remove duplicates. So it will analyze the whole data and it will see how many rows were complete replica of each other, and it will then remove them. So it tells you that two duplicate rows were found and removed. And then we can click OK. And now we have only clean rows remaining. You can do some other processing as well. So for example, um, let's say we do not want to have these ranges in our order value. Why? Because I may want to compare two values and I want numbers. So these ranges are numbers to us as humans, but they are not numbers to the machine. For them, below is not a number. Below 300, the computer won't understand that I mean everything from 0 to 299, but as a humans we can understand that. So to make things simple, what we can do is just convert these alphanumeric ranges into numbers, and you'll see later why we are doing that. But right now I also want to show you that what kind of cleanup you may want to do. You may want to, as I said, remove duplicates. If there are missing values, you may want to remove them. If there are formatting errors, you may want to remove them and do some kind of reordering, reformatting. So let's do this. I select this column because this is where I want to search all the 300 to 600. And let's say I want to replace it with one single value. Let's start with below 300. So I copied below 300. I selected the whole column. I go to edit and then I can find and replace everything. So what do I want to find? I want to find below 300. And what do I want to replace it with? I want to replace it with 300. Let's say you can replace it with whatever you think is the right value to replace it with. I think 300 is a good replacement. I replace all. So there were 75 instances of below 300, which I have replaced with 300. And you can see that now below 300 is replaced with 300. And I do this with all the ranges. And once again, I'm doing this because I don't want these dashes and these below and these above in my data. I want numeric data only so that I can do some mathematical operations on them. 300 to 600, I want to replace it with 600, replace all, and done. And let's take this one, 900 to 1200. I keep the column selected. I go to edit, find and replace. I replace, I find 900 by 1200. I replace it with 1200. I click replace all, 41 instances, done. And let's do the rest quickly. Replace all and done. And is there anything left? Yeah, 1200 to 1500. Select the column name, go to edit, find and replace. Find and replace with 1500, replace all, and done. Let's see if anything else is left. I don't see anything else in the range. And I am very happy with how my data looks like, and it's pretty clean. And yes, I think I'm happy with the cleanliness of my data so far. So let's now move on to the next step. But I have to add one thing. Uh, Data analysis pipeline is not a one after the other step, that one step finishes, you go to the second step, and now you can never go back to the previous step. It's not like that. It's quite possible that in the next steps we find something which was wrong with the previous step, or something which needs some correction or editing in the previous steps. And in that case, it's very normal to loop through the different steps and find out what is wrong and what is now. Coming to the descriptive analysis, we just spoke about it, that it gives you a feeling of how your data is. And there are some mathematical formulas that you can see, or terms that you can see right here, like calculating the average, calculating the median or min or max, or sort the data, and that will give us some information. So let's try to do that. And I'll go back to our sheet and do these descriptive analysis. I don't want to change anything um on this sheet of mine. So what we can do is we can create a new sheet and do the analysis there. To create a new sheet, you can, at the bottom left, you see this plus sign. When you click on this plus sign, it will do what it says, add sheet. So, and I'll create this. I clicked on this, and this is my sheet 1, sheet 2. Let's rename our sheets so that they represent what they actually have. So sheet 1 has data. So let me double click on sheet 1, and I can now write that this is data. And in sheet 2, I want to do analysis. So I'll write analysis here. And what do I want to do? Let's say we want to do some analysis on number of orders in a month. So let's do some analysis. Um, what's the minimum number of orders in a month? What's the maximum number of orders in a month? What's the average number of orders in a month? So let's find these three things. So it's always a good idea to give a heading. So what analysis or what stats are we going to find out? We give the heading stats, and we want to calculate the average and the maximum number of orders and the minimum number of orders. So we have given the headings of what, of number of orders, number of orders. Okay, how do we do that? So to calculate the average of anything, there is a formula. And to enter any formula in Google Sheet or Excel, you start with an equal to sign. As soon as you start equal to, you type equal to, you are actually telling the tool that I'm writing a formula. And then you give the formula. And formula is for average. So start typing average, A, B, E, and you see that Google is already giving us suggestions. So this is actually average. So I select that and I hit enter. So as soon as I hit enter, it gives me a bracket. In the bracket, you need to tell the data. So of what data do I want to get average of? Let me give you one quick example. Let's say I have this data, 1, 2, 5, and 9. And I want to get average of these 4 points. So what I'll do is I'll start with equal to and average, hit enter. And now under brackets, I can just select, click and drag these points, and I click bracket close and I hit enter. So as soon as I do this, this 4.25 is the average of these four numbers. Now, now that you know how do you calculate average, let's do it for our data. So now I start with equal to, I say average, hit enter, start the bracket. Now where is my data? I need to go and select that data. So my data is in this other sheet, data. and it's column C. So I click on it, and now I can close my bracket and hit enter, and I get the average of my number of orders. Similarly, if you, and it's 4.875, interesting. So we have seen people placing very few orders, a lot of orders, but the average is 4.875 orders per month. Let's see what's the number of maximum orders that they have placed. Exactly follow the same process. You start with an equal to, you give the formula for max, which is the maximum. Maximum of what? You need to specify the data. So you start with the bracket. You select the data by going to the sheet data. And again, it's column C for whose maximum we want to get. So we select column C. And can you see this on the top? Data represents the sheet name, and then colon exclamation mark shows that under the sheet data, pick the whole column C to C. C colon C means the whole column C. And now we can close the bracket and hit enter, and 10. Okay, so the maximum number of orders placed by anyone is 10. And what about the minimum? So let's do this same process. Equals to minimum, and bracket starts. I go to data and I get the minimum of the orders. Column C, I hit bracket close and I hit enter, and minimum order is 0. Um, what is zero order doing in my data set? Like, if we notice, it's basically number of orders for which the person has placed, paid something, there was an average time. So how is this zero? I was expecting a minimum of 1 at here. So let's actually look at our data and see what the zero is about. So there are two ways to look into the data. One is if I just sort the whole data with respect to ascending order of number of orders, then I'll be able to see zeros and ones and twos and three. So if we sort the data in numerical order, then I'll be able to see all the zeros and etc. There is another way how you can actually only filter out certain information. So let's see how you can filter out only certain information first. I first select the data. That's how I start. And then I go to data and I create a filter. Because I don't want to see all the data. I only want to see those zeros. So when I created this filter funnel type thing, we can see for every column. I'm more interested in number of orders in a month, so I click on this filter and clear everything else. I'm only interested in zeros, so I click on zero and I click OK. And when I do this, it is showing me only those rows where number of orders in a month is zero. And that's too many. Like, I can't even count. 10, 15 entries are there. Actually, we can count. We can select all of them, and here at the bottom, I can count. There are 16 elements. What do we do with them? Mm, delete all of them? But that would be a bit unfair to just delete all these values just because the number of orders are wrong. Maybe we can just replace them with average number of orders. So 4 or 5, something between 4 and 5. Or I can replace it with 1, or I can replace it with 10. The bottom line is you can do a lot of things with the things which are wrong in the data. And what are we doing right now? We are cleaning the data again. And that's exactly what we were talking about a little while ago. That right now, although we are in the descriptive analysis phase, it's totally fine if you find out that your data is not right and you need to go back a step clean the data again, and come back. So that's totally fine and that's totally normal. And actually, that's very important. So, and what we can do, we just saw we can delete this data, we can replace this with a random value, we can replace it with the average, we can replace it with the minimum, with the maximum, whatever. So let's replace it with the with one. So I select this, I go to edit, find and replace, find what zeros, replace with what one, replace all. Oh no, it replaced 52 instances. Apparently, it replaced everything, maybe in the whole column. So I don't want to do that. So I just simply undo whatever I just did. And I'm not taking further risk with this right now. I'll just delete all these zero rows and I'll move forward. Selected rows and I they are not there anymore. Um, Deletion should be your last resort. And now where is the data gone? The data is gone because we have filtered everything with zero and now there is no zero anymore. So let's get back and let's bring everything back, select all, okay, and now my data is back. And just to be sure that there is no more zeros, let's quickly sort our data. So to sort the data, I have selected this, I have selected the whole data, I go to data, I sort the range, and I sort by column. I We can directly sort as well, but let's see what we see in the advanced range sorting options. Data has a header row, and we want to sort with respect to number of orders in a month, and we want to start A to Z, which means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you will sort Z to A or descending, then 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 will be there. But we want to sort with respect to A to Z, and then we hit sort, and thankfully no zeros, we deleted them. So then we see a few data points with 1, then some with 2, then some with 3, 4, 5, and it looks good. Coming back to our analysis, oh, our number of orders average has increased, and that makes total sense because we removed those zeros, so our average increased. And now our max is 10 and our min is 1. And you can do similar analysis on different parameters so that you get the feeling of your data, and if there is anything wrong, you can fix that. So you might be actually thinking that we have spent so much time and we have not started the real analysis so far. And this is actually a representation of the real world. We think that only the exploratory analysis is the data analysis phase. No, the whole pipeline is related to the data analysis. And you cannot just skip all these parts and say, okay, I'll go do the real analysis. This is all part of real analysis. And it's okay to spend so much time in these steps. In fact, this in real world, you will be spending more time in cleaning up, preparation, steps, and then you'll go on to the analysis. Now, coming to exploratory analysis, this is where things become more interactive and it becomes more interesting because now you will feel that you are solving real business problems, which means you will be given a question where you will be finding the answers. So these questions will come from the different business units. And that's why you need to first start with identifying the scope of the decision and divide that problem, divide that scope into multiple relevant questions. And those questions will be answered by your data. For that, technically, we create pivot tables, we use charts. So let's see a little bit further. So, for example, your scope of the decision may be based on which unit you are talking to. So maybe marketing team wants to start a loyalty program and they want to know which customer group should we target for our loyalty program. Or there might be sales who might be asking, do I need to increase the number of shops in a certain location? There might be business who might want to know, do I need to offer more payment options? There might be tech who might want to know, do we need to add more servers? So, did you notice that these are all very different domains, but each one of them can get a right answer through the data that we are ourselves seeing. So, for the sake of time, we are not going into all of them. Let's just imagine that we are talking to the marketing team and they want to know, oh, who should be my target customer for the loyalty program? And now you can ask more specific questions. How can we make how can we identify what customer groups do we have? Uh, Maybe age. So age factor could be our divisioning factor, that what kind of age groups do we have in the data? And is that age group has any trend with respect to their spending, or with respect to the number of orders that they are placing, or with respect to the effect of COVID, etc.? So once we have this scope, who should be our target customer, and once we know what do we need to answer in order to answer this question, we can go ahead and do the analysis. So let's pick the first two questions. Is there any trend in age group with respect to the number of orders that people are placing and the spendings that they are making? So let's do that. And I am back at my sheet, and I'll rephrase the question because the technical implementation will go like a breeze if you know what the question is and what the answer is. What do we want to do? We want to know if there is any trend in age group 18 to 30 or 30 to 40 or 40 to 50 or below 18 or above 50, etc. Just by looking at the data, we don't know, but maybe we can find out. Similarly, can we do something like how many people in this age group 18 to 30 are placing, how many orders are they placing? If I add all of these who are in this age group, can I somehow find how many orders they are placing altogether? So yes, we can, but how, and what do we need for that? What we need for that are these two parameters, age and number of orders. Why? Because these are the things that we are interested in. So now let's do that. What do we want to do? We want to know how many people are actually in different age groups who are placing orders. That's it. Is there any trend? So to do that, first of all, you need to select your data, and then you can go to insert and insert something which is called as pivot table. When you click on this, it will ask you where do you want to insert it. We will insert it in a new sheet and we create it. Let me first show you what I'm doing and then I'll explain further. We'll do it two times so that if it's not clear for the first time, we'll do it again. What do we want to do? We want to know age brackets. What we do in a pivot table, we can specify the rows and we can specify the columns and we can specify the values. So let's see what happens if I add number of, not orders, age as rows. As soon as I select the age as the rows, what it does here on the left hand side is it sees all the number, all the age ranges, and it just puts them here. So we know that there are these ranges, 18 to 30, 30 to 40, and so on. What do we want to put here? We want to count number of orders, how many orders were placed by this age group, how many orders were placed by this age group, and so on and so forth. So this is values that we want. So you add values of number of orders in a month. And by default, Google is suggesting we should sum. There are a lot of things, other things that you can do, but sum is indeed the right thing to calculate. What is this blank thing doing here? Oh, we didn't remove the blanks in our data set. We should have cleaned this. Oh, let's go back to our data and clean it up. And I am fine doing this cleanup again and again because I know that's part of the process. I select the data and I select all the data blank rows and I right click and I delete those selected rows. And I come back to my pivot table and thank God it's gone. So that's actually very cool that it works like automatically. But coming back, what are we trying to count here? So what we are noticing here is that below 18, there were 160 orders placed. Uh, in the age group 18 to 30, 1,511 orders were placed, which means that there is an age group which is making the most of the orders, which is 18 to 30. So we have an answer for our marketing team that, hey, this is the age group which places the most order. So you should target them. But let's try one more. How much are these age groups paying actually for their orders? And now we will add one more table. So this is the second question. For each of these age groups, can we see how much is the average order value that they are spending? And this is why exactly we needed these numbers, because with ranges it would not have been possible. I select the data, I go to insert, I create a pivot table, I create a new sheet. In rows, I want to add the same age. In columns, I don't want anything. I want the values of number of orders in a month. And I don't want to, not number, what did I do? Not number of orders in a month. I want uh, average order value. And then I don't want to sum it. I want average of this average value. What do you see here? What do you see here? I see something amazing here. What I see here is that the age bracket, which is although spending, is making a lot of orders, the 18 to 30 group, they are not spending actually a lot on those orders. However, that other group, which was below 50, which was above 50, who were only making the least amount of orders, they are spending the most on their orders. Maybe because they have more money. But now I can provide this insight to my marketing team that, hey, 18 to 30 age group is already your loyal customer because they are already placing a lot of orders. If you can somehow convince the above 50 people to place more orders, then the amount of orders that they will be placing, the amount that they will be spending, that will be much higher. So if I can get 100 people of 18 to 30 age group, so I will be increasing my revenue by 713 multiplied by something. But if I can get 100 people above 50, then my multiplying factor is like 900. And this is the story that I would like to tell my marketing team. And for that, I can quickly plot some graphs. So this brings me to my last step, which is visualization and um, storytelling. So the excitement that I just felt, the excitement that you just felt, that, oh wow, this was some information that we didn't even know it existed in the data. We want to tell this story to our audience so that they can take some action. We need to now present this in the form of a nice visualization and then tell a good story. So let's just do that. There are a number of ways we can do this. First, the simplest is just copy the data out of this pivot table into a separate sheet, and I'll call this sheet as plots and plot it here. We should just add some headings. So this is age, and this is number of orders, and I place it here. And I also want to sort it a little bit because below 18 can come here. And now let's plot them. So for example, I select these my data points and I go to insert and I select chart, and Google already suggests me that you should create a pie chart out of it, and that's actually right. I would have wanted to do the same. If you want to change the chart type, you can do this on the right hand side. So pie chart is not what you want, and you can select anything else. But this is actually very visual, and it shows that 70% of our audience or customers are in 18 to 30 age group, and only 2% is in this particular age group. And if we can somehow, okay, this is the first fact. Let's bring the other information. So I come to from the pivot table 2, I copy this data and I come to this plots, and I am now adding this information here. So again, this is age, and this is average order amount, and I take this from here and I put it here, and now I can select this data and I can create another chart, or what I can also do is maybe I take this data, put it next to my other information, and I draw something for all these 3 points. So I select this, I insert chart, and this time not a pie chart. I want to select, let's say, line chart, and then it's showing me, oh wow. So below 18, my number of orders was less. For 18 to 30, it increased a lot, then it kept on decreasing, but my our average order amount is increasing. And this might be the story that I want to share. And ultimately, when you have all these graphs, what you do is typically you use another of Google tools under their belt. Uh, you can create a slide, and in slides you can actually present your information. So loyalty program, our target customers, and here you can add slides, and you can show that customer, how does customer distribution looks like, and you can then copy this chart from customer distribution, and you can paste this chart here, and paste unlinked. And similarly, you can create a slide on spendings, and then you can paste the other chart here, and then you can have recommendations, and then you can give your own recommendations. So and you can give actually both the recommendations, that if you want to focus on quantity of orders, then this age group makes sense. If we want to focus on amount of the payments, then focus on this age group. And your audience, your management, your marketing team will be able to see all the recommendations and then make a decision. And with this, we are at the end of our data analysis pipeline. We saw that we start with data collection, we do cleaning up of the data, we do some descriptive analysis, exploratory analysis, and then we bring everything together and we tell a nice story using some visualizations and charts to our user, and that actually helps us in convincing our audience to take certain actions. And that's the role of a data analyst: give data based facts to your audience so that they can make informative decisions. Thank you very much, and I look forward to questions from you all now. And Will should be back now. And here you are.
Hi, Humera. I do apologize if there's a little bit of noise in the background. We are having a in-house event here at CareerFoundry this evening. So if there's a little bit of background noise, we know where it's coming from. If anyone does have a question at the moment for Dr. Humera, please just drop it in the chat on the right-hand side. But maybe just to kick it off, I know that a lot of people in the audience are considering taking their first steps into data analytics. Humera, what would you suggest for somebody who's thinking about data analytics and is just starting out? Like, where would you suggest that they go?
Mm-hmm. To begin with, and if you want a shortcut, I would recommend to go for a short course, just like this course on Career Foundry, because there are a couple of things which we need ultimately as a data analyst when we are starting our journey, and that's actually a portfolio. So there is a set of tools that you would need, and you need to create some projects out of those tools, and you need to showcase those tools. You can do the whole journey yourself. It will take longer. You can learn, let's say, tools like Excel, some visualization tools, some programming tools, and create your own portfolio, but it will simply take too long. If you can just get some guidance on how these courses are arranged, it will just be much more faster.
Awesome, fantastic. And I think just because of the noise in the background, I think we'll just do a shorter Q&A this evening. But what I would say this evening is if anybody's interested in a career in data analytics, CareerFoundry do offer a free introductory short course, which is definitely worth checking out. I will post the link in the chat on the right-hand side, but I'll also send it out via email tomorrow with the recording. And also at the moment, if you're thinking about taking the full leap into the program, we are currently offering tuition reductions off our data analytics program. That's worth up to $1,120 or €1,120. Now, you'll see that's the short course has just been posted on Big Marker. If anyone's got any questions about the Career Foundry curriculum or about anything discussed this evening, but also about the dual mentorship model that we ask, I do recommend booking a call with one of our program advisors. They will go into a little bit more depth about currently what the program's like, but also all the support that you'll receive at Career Foundry. Humera, thank you very much for the presentation this evening. I think we can see also on Big Market, everyone's thanking for a fantastic
Welcome.
introduction. And we've also got some more events coming up. So if you check out the Career Foundry events page and you look at the info sessions, we're currently also offering info sessions about our product too. So for anybody who's interested, sorry about the noise in the background. I do say we are having an in-house event, but thank you very much for presenting this evening, Humera, and thank you to all of our attendees too. And we'll see you next time.
See you.
That's the end of the webinar.